as we can. I'd like to introduce our guest lecturer for today, Janelle Astorita, CoolSculpting Team Leader for Chelsea Eye and Cosmetic Surgery Associates, a leading eye care, laser vision, and cosmetic center in downtown Manhattan, New York. As the Surgical Director of Cosmetic Care, Dr. Joseph Eviatar specializes in oculofacial plastic surgery and injectable treatments. He has handpicked a cosmetic team that works closely with him to provide comprehensive cosmetic care. Janelle Astorita is the Director of Skincare Services and leads the CoolSculpting team. Janelle, welcome to our webinar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Pat, Wendy, I want to thank you so much for having me here today. I believe in CoolSculpting so strongly as both a technology to help people achieve their goals, but also as a company to enhance our practices through programs like this. I'm very excited to be able to contribute today as we talk about ways to enhance the CoolSculpting consultation process. Great. Okay, here we go. So I'd like to start by giving you a little background on myself and our practice. Chelsea Eye and Cosmetic Surgery has had CoolSculpting installed in August of 2011. Until now, CoolSculpting has been the only body sculpting technology we've offered. We're excited to welcome plastic and reconstructive surgeon Dr. Ilan Singer to our practice this week, and we'll be offering new body sculpting technologies through him going forward. To date, our practice has performed 556 treatments. My name again is Janelle Astorita, and I am the CoolSculpting Team Leader, or CTL, of our practice. I lead a team of 2 additional CoolSculpting providers. I have personally performed 208 CoolSculpting treatments since joining Chelsea Cosmetic Surgery in March of this year, 2013. That works out to be 2 patients per week and 4.9 cycles per patient, which is compared to the previous numbers of 2.7 cycles per patient. Additionally, in June of 2012, I participated in CoolSculpting's Global Symposium in New York as a peer educator discussing treatment to transformation. To date, I have performed close to 800 CoolSculpting treatments in total. So here we're taking a look at our Cool Card usage, which is pretty much in line with the national average. We use 87% purple cycles and 13% of the large gold cycles. Those numbers vary depending on your patient demographics. Now we're taking a look at CoolSculpting growth in our practice. While we have enjoyed incredible success with CoolSculpting right from the start, we've shown a remarkable growth since I joined the practice. As the slide here shows, we've had a 164% increase over 2012. And that's before we record our Q4 numbers. It's pretty impressive. The key here, in addition to that, is to actually look how that is spread out. I've actually seen 58 patients in that time, but I've performed 208 treatments. So to grow your practice, it's not always about reaching outside your practice and getting new patients. It's making the most of the patients that you have. And that's something that all of us need to learn how to take better advantage of. It's an unmined resource, and ultimately it's going to give you patients that are happier with their results and happier with CoolSculpting in your practice as a whole. The more times they visit your practice, the more connected they become to it, and the more likely they are to become a true patient of the practice, not just a CoolSculpting patient. So this kind of success is the reason why CoolSculpting invited me here today. And what I want to do is share with you some of the secrets of my success. So let's just jump right into this. Why are you listening today? What we want you to do is to hone skills that you already have and pick up some new ones along the way. What we're going to focus on is ensuring a positive patient education and experience with your practice and with CoolSculpting. We want to address the selection of a dedicated CTL or CoolSculpting team leader. We want to help you establish the ideal consultation process flow. We want to decrease the number of consultation no-shows, convert more consultations into treatments. I hope I can share some pearls of wisdom that I've picked up along the way with you. So here is something that is all too often overlooked. There's a lot of importance placed on training on technologies and procedures, as there should be, but I think that it's equally important to know how to connect with a patient. These are elective procedures, and it's a competitive market. Is your practice doing everything it can to win a patient's confidence? When having a consultation with a patient, your role goes far beyond being knowledgeable about the technology. You need to establish empathy, establish trust, establish proven personal results, and ensure your patient that you're a partner in their success. These are basic sales techniques, right? But how much of your staff, of the staff at your practice has been trained on these basic principles? It's definitely something to address, and it's something that's going to be beneficial across the board, not just in your CoolSculpting business. Really, really key. So we're going to move on to another area that I feel is really the single most important ingredient in the recipe for success at your practice, and that is the selection of your CoolSculpting team leader. This person needs to play a multifaceted role. They need to champion CoolSculpting in your practice. They need to get the entire practice excited about CoolSculpting. There needs to be a buzz. Everyone who has the opportunity to speak about CoolSculpting should be bubbling over with excitement. The CTL coordinates with other CoolSculpting team members, including patient care coordinators and front desk staff, making sure that everyone really understands CoolSculpting, how it works, what it's capable of, and is sharing the correct message with your patients. This is a person that needs to address every patient concern completely through thorough assessment. The CTL needs an aesthetic eye to appreciate symmetry. When doing an assessment, they need to visualize the treatment course that will provide the best outcome. They also need to have the compassion, and the ability to help patients through difficult treatment and still have them come back for more. What are the characteristics of a successful CTL? Well, it needs to be someone who embraces the approach to patient care that we're talking about here. It needs to be someone warm, friendly, approachable. Patients need to make themselves very vulnerable for these kinds of services, and we need to be able to put them at ease. Sincerity. This seems pretty obvious, but the best CTLs have had more than the cursory single-cycle treatment so that they know what it feels like. They've had their own goals met through CoolSculpting. That person is going to be enthusiastic. That person is going to be passionate. A CTL that has experienced and overcome some of the same frustrations as a patient is going through is going to have more empathy for them. And that comes through, and that really makes a difference when you're trying to make a connection with a patient. The ability to communicate in an educational manner rather than a sales approach is key. No one likes to be sold to. We almost all have regrets where we've fallen prey to that, and we do feel like we've fallen prey to that. So don't sell your patients. Educate them. Let the proof of your positive results speak for itself, and let your patient make an informed decision. We need to give them a little more credit than they get. We shouldn't be selling to them. Our goal is to demonstrate the fulfillment of the dream. We're not selling a service. We are sharing a solution to an issue that concerns the patient. First and foremost, a CTL needs to let go of concerns that they will scare a patient away by recommending too many cycles. I think across the board, this is the #1 mistake that providers make. Our role is always to put the patient's needs first. It's our responsibility as providers to recommend a treatment that will ensure even results. Prove to your patient through your own library of photos that you have the expertise to deliver. Their success is your success. You're their partner in this. For multi-treatment protocols, they're very often not done all in one day. They're spread out over time. So you're going to be cheering them along, all along that path, and they're going to appreciate that. I get excited for every patient that books a CoolSculpting treatment, because for many, this is really a fork in the road for them. They're really able to take control of something they've never really had control over before. And it's exciting for them, and to this day, it's still exciting for me. So let's touch briefly on incentive strategies. Every practice will approach this differently, but the bottom line is incentives work. Doctors are demanding employers. Patients are demanding customers. Handling this process correctly from start to finish is time-consuming and requires patience. Your practice will get the best out of your staff when they are incentivized. Consult with your practice support specialist for ideas and suggestions on how to motivate your practice. Promos can be as simple as gift cards or as compensation plans. Incentives can be quarterly or monthly. Either way, recognize that this is the way to get into the game and move your practice forward. So we're moving on to the actual consultation process. The sources for these consultations can be phone, existing patients, and web or email inquiries. The most challenging is the web email inquiry. So let's use that as an example. So it all starts with that patient inquiry. We need to have an immediate email response from the patient care coordinator. If the appointment was booked via email, there needs to be an introductory call if you want to decrease no-shows. We prefer to actually book the appointment on the telephone so that there is that verbal connect right from the very start. We also, at our practice, do take a credit card number to secure that appointment, and we do have a cancellation fee if they don't give us 24 hours notice. So if that is going to be a part of your formula, that really needs to be, that conversation needs to take place on the phone, not through an email. There is absolutely a proven disconnect if a patient doesn't have a verbal encounter with your practice outside of a receptionist. They don't perceive this appointment as concrete. This is not a concrete commitment, and the likelihood that there will be a no-show is much greater. They need a reminder 2 days prior, either through email or on the telephone. Then we have the consultation and the treatment. The ideal situation is when this process happens very quickly. They make an inquiry on a Sunday morning while they're surfing the internet. They get an immediate email response, followed up by a phone call on Monday when they book the appointment. Their consultation is on Wednesday. their treatment is on Friday. Doesn't always happen that way, but when it does is when it goes the most smoothly. So depending on the size of your practice and the volume of CoolSculpting business you're currently doing, the roles of patient care coordinator and CTL will vary. But if your CTL is as multifaceted as we want her to be, the chances are that you're utilizing her skills in another capacity in addition to CoolSculpting. She needs a partner to be successful. As you're growing your business, this could possibly even be a member of the front desk staff. Regardless, the patient care coordinator needs to be accessible to speak to a patient when it's convenient for the patient. So let's run through this really quickly. PCC is the first point of contact, talks with the patient, books the appointment on the phone, sends an email confirmation of that appointment with links to testimonials or reviews. The CTL meets with the patient during the consultation, searches for possible treatment dates, conducts the physical consultation, books the treatment. Patient back to the patient care coordinator, they collect the deposit, schedule the treatment, send a reminder. With that reminder, links to before and after photos. CoolSculpting team leader provides the treatment, follows up with every single patient after every single treatment. Very crucial. Patient care coordinator is responsible for doing any remaining paperwork or accounting, schedules the next appointments if applicable, or the follow-up appointments for their next treatment or for their photos. So booking the consult and getting the patient to show up. Well, this is always one of our biggest challenges. So let's call our patient care coordinator, Pat. Pat is going to be the single contact your patient has with your practice other than the CTL from start to finish. Pat is the one that immediately responds to the inquiry with an email, including links to reviews. Pat is the one who then follows up with a phone call where asks all the necessary questions that need be. I'm actually going to skip to the next slide. So she's going to uncover the reason for their interest in CoolSculpting, probe for timing for a special event or special goal. She's going to tout CoolSculpting as a revolutionary way to reduce fat. No surgery, no downtime, no anesthesia, no incisions, no scars, no compression garments. No kidding. This is revolutionary. This is something to be excited about. Pat's going to tout the practice credentials. What sets your practice apart from the crowd? Why have they called the right place? Everything is geared to getting the patient excited. Ask about how they heard about sculpting. Inquire whether there are upcoming events or goals that influence the timing of their treatment. Pricing will always come up. Be clear that every patient gets a completely customized plan that targets their needs and works within their budget. This is really a critical part of this process. The patient needs to connect with a single person. So Pearl's here. Again, single contact from the practice, start to finish. Pat's the one who responded to their email, links to reviews, spoke to them on the phone, got them excited on the phone, sent them an email confirmation, links to videos, sent them a reminder of their appointment with links to before and afters. that's when they come in to see the CTL. It's possible to have the CTL make an introductory phone call in between there just to introduce herself and add another layer of excitement, another connection to the practice. We really want to form a bond before she ever walks in the door, because now she's not, if she wants to blow off this appointment, it's not just some random faceless practice that she knows something about. It's this person who's been absolutely helpful and wonderful and informative and delightful every time she's touched her. So, we really want to take advantage of that opportunity. We want to use every opportunity, every touch, every email to reignite the excitement that the patient felt when they first made that inquiry. So we should be taking advantage of, visual reminders of what got them excited. We really want to reignite the hopefulness that they felt that CoolSculpting is the solution that they've been looking for all along. So proven strategies, this, kind of goes back to everything that I've said before. I'm going to restate it because it's that important. You cannot rely on an email appointment. 99.9% of my no-shows are people who, for one reason or another, we have never been able to get on the phone and speak to personally. Someone from your practice needs and give your practice a face. You need to be able to get the patient to open up to you and connect. That's what's really going to make a difference. So the actual day of the consultation, first and foremost, you want to be prepared and you want to be professional. Review patient notes. Have some idea what your availability on your schedule is. Upon arrival, make sure that photos are taken and weigh the patient. You need to have pre-made packets made with your card, a CoolSculpting brochure, before and after pictures, testimonials, patient loyalty program information, a list of services your practice provides, staff bios. This is a new patient to your practice. Why not get them excited about your practice as a whole, not just about CoolSculpting? This is a prime marketing opportunity. Take full advantage of that. Always have care credit brochures available just in case they're needed. We don't supply them in those packets, but we have it available for the patients who need it. So consultation day, again, ensure photos are taken, warm intro, get your patient's medical history. Do a quick assessment to determine if this patient is even a candidate because, that's going to determine, just how much time you spend with them. Use the tools that CoolSculpting has provided. The patient consultation guide is a valuable visual aid when you're educating patients about CoolSculpting. So please, put it to good use. Ask about your patient's desired goals. Not everyone wants to be in a bikini in South Beach. Many people are quite happy to reduce the bulk in specific areas and to look better in clothes. Don't make the mistake of assuming that CoolSculpting is not going to deliver the results that they're looking for. You don't know what kind of results they're looking for until you ask. So give them the opportunity to express that. And if they don't express it in so many words, draw it out of them or tell them, listen, this treatment is not going to put you in a bikini in South Beach feeling fantastic about yourself. This treatment that I'm recommending is going to have you looking better in your clothes. It's going to have you feeling more comfortable in your clothes. It's going to give you more options in the clothes that you wear. Very often, that is more than a patient has hoped for. So give them that option. I really prefer to use my own patient photo library because I want to demonstrate not only the efficacy of CoolSculpting as a technology, but my skill at putting it to use. And this is very important to me. And I strongly encourage every practice out there to really build your photo library and have it be well-rounded. You want to have examples of all different body types, ages, men, women, multiple treatments, a few treatments. You want to have photos that your patient can identify with. So key that they're able to identify with the patients that we're talking about. So here's an example of a slide that I almost always show. This is one of my very first patients, probably the first treatment to transformation treatment, or at least one of the first treatment to transformation treatments that CoolSculpting has ever done. This is a patient who flat out insisted that she only wanted to treat her lower abdomen. She didn't have the money to treat any other area. Absolutely adamant that was all she could afford. Based on the fact that she said she couldn't afford a penny more, I flat out refused to treat her. I told her she would be unsatisfied with the results because the tissue on her upper abdomen would remain and would overhang this very flat, smooth lower abdomen that the CoolSculpting would create, and she would look ridiculous. And she wouldn't have the money to continue treatment to correct it. And I would never do that to her. She was actually incensed that I refused to treat her. Called me a few weeks later, told me she went someplace else for a second opinion. They told her that they could do a single treatment and that she'd have fabulous results, and they offered her a discounted price over what I quoted her. So she called me and wanted me to do the treatment. Again, I flat out refused. I said, I'm sorry, they're wrong. I'm doing what's in your best interest, the responsible thing to do. And we don't discount on one treatment. I'm sorry. She ultimately did come back to me, and we treated her abdomen with 3 CoolMax cycles, lower, mid, and upper abdomen. And the second picture is 2 months post. Clearly, this patient was blown away. I'm very, very, very happy that she followed my advice. And she's a very loyal patient ever since then. As you can see, she went on, this patient who could not afford to do more than one single treatment, went on to do many other cycles and really had an incredible transformation. This is a 55-year-old woman, by the way. And I have to say, you know, her results are amazing. She's still a patient of mine. She's now a skincare patient of mine. She's a patient of the practice for Botox, fillers, laser treatments, so on and so forth. And because of budgetary concerns, we spaced these treatments out. Actually, you know, the second and third treatments, we typically did, you know, 2 cycles at the third treatment was another 2 cycles, 4th treatment was another 2 cycles, 5th treatment was another 2 cycles. So we spaced that out to fit into her budget. So here's a completely different patient type. This is a man in his early 50s, really at his ideal body weight or very close to it, very fit, but still with that middle-age spare tire, that paunch right around the middle. So he was a perfect holy trinity candidate, as we say. 1 cool max, lower abdomen, and at the time we used cool core on his flanks. And remarkable results with just a 3-hour treatment, $3,000. He's over the moon. I actually think we could have gone on to do other areas on this patient. He's perfectly happy where he was and he didn't feel the need to take it any further than that. The next patient is this tiny, petite, very fit little woman, also in her 50s. I have all these wonderful patients in their 50s that are in great shape. But she really has that fat accumulated right in the center of her abdomen. So I treated her all 4 cycles in one day, overlapping in a diamond shape, right around her navel to flatten her belly. I love the attitude change in this patient. Look at her undergarments. They're absolutely beautiful. When she sauntered into our office the day that we did her post pictures, and she wasn't actually there for her post pictures that day. She wasn't expecting me to be in. She was just coming in for filler. So this on life, she feels sexy and beautiful, and it shows. And this is the kind of thing that gets me excited over and over again with my patients. I love to see this change in confidence. So here's an interesting patient because she'd previously had lipo that left her very, very unhappy with the results. Her abdomen was ripply and uneven. She had a mini tummy tuck. She had dog ears. From the very start, immediately post-surgery, she was really unhappy with the results and gradually started to put the weight back on. She had a consultation with a very prominent Upper East Side doctor. The doctor himself handled the consultation and looked at her and shook his head and said, "You're just too fat for CoolSculpting. I mean, the fat is everywhere. And what can I grab? It's just everywhere. You need lipo." Well, based on her previous experience where she was miserable with the results of lipo, obviously she decided not to go down that road. Ultimately, we met and we considered CoolSculpting as an alternative. I laid out the options. We knew it was going to be every bit as expensive as liposuction, but she was fine with that. And believe me when I tell you, there are a lot of patients that will ultimately pay more money for CoolSculpting over the long run rather than go under the knife. Just like there are many patients who will spend a lot of money on filler and laser treatments rather than have a facelift. We need to recognize that and not put these preconceived boundaries that why would they want to choose this non-invasive option if they're more of a surgical candidate. Not everyone wants to have surgery. So don't make assumptions for your patients because clearly this Upper East Side doctor lost a very valuable patient, and I gained a very valuable patient. So don't make that mistake. Consultation day. So I think we can all agree the most difficult hurdle to overcome when making a multi-treatment recommendation is trying to find a way to make it affordable. I rarely give a discount on up to 3 cycles. This is the norm in my experience and with the patients that I treat. And I feel very strongly that this is the best value in the business. I mean, even at full price, when you're talking about 1 Cool Max, 2 Cool Core, this is a $3,000 treatment for a 25% reduction of fat in the areas that bother you most. And it's permanent as long as you maintain, you know, a healthy diet and your weight. So if you compare that to Botox, which, you know, 3 areas of Botox is very common and has to be administered, you know, every 3 or 4 months, this is a pretty great deal. So I really do feel very strongly about that. Once you go beyond 3 cycles, it gets pricey. And, you know, and then you're starting to compete with the possibility of, you know, should I wait? Should I possibly just have liposuction? Is that a better choice? So beyond 3 cycles is when I offer a discount. And I typically will do it on a sliding scale based on how many treatments they're going to have. I'll always start out recommending a core treatment plan that focuses on the area that bothers the most, making sure that it is enough to be a successful treatment and an even treatment. And then I let the outstanding outcome of that treatment sell future treatments. And beyond 3 cycles, as I said, I do offer a discount. For those first 3 cycles, when there's a little bit of price resistance, I always offer a free service in lieu of a discount. I myself also do skincare treatments, so I might offer them a peel, a free IPL, a facial, something that actually typically has a greater value than the discount that they would get at another practice. So this benefits both the patient and myself because now I've turned my CoolSculpting prospect not only into a CoolSculpting patient, but I've turned them into a skincare patient. Everyone wins. Price is still an issue when you've exhausted, you know, all of these possibilities. Consider whether this patient will be an asset to your photo library. If that's the case, you might want to offer a deeper discount if they will give you permission to use their photos. You know, use your best judgment, but don't make the assumption that a patient can't afford it. Try to get them in there for a treatment that is going to deliver wow results for them. And once you do that, oftentimes patients will find the money to do other treatments. So, consultation day. You're going to review possible treatment dates with the patient. You're going to spend some time talking about, absolutely, we're not addressing it here, but you really need to spend some time talking about discomfort. It's not something that shouldn't be addressed. I like to use analogies. For women, I tell them the hookup is very much like a mammogram initially. It's very shocking. Once the shock passes, it's just discomfort for the first, 7 minutes or possibly 10 minutes. The numbness sets in. They're comfortable for the rest of the treatment. At the unhook, the feeling is very much like when you come in from a cold and you haven't had gloves on, where you have pins and needles. It's so cold it's hot and kind of burning. But I reassure them that every single patient, every single solitary patient I've treated, it has resolved within 10 minutes. So whether they experience those effects as mild or if they personally experience that as more severe, it's going to pass. Once you remove that anxiety that, oh my God, something's wrong, they're able to cope with it. It's just being prepared. So you want your patient to be prepared. Take that a step further. You want to make sure that your patient has allotted enough time for this treatment. If you tell them it's a 1-hour treatment and they walk through the door and, you know, they have an appointment in an hour and 10 minutes, you're going to be creating a lot of stress for yourself and your patient. They need to leave, you know, a little bit of buffer time before they, in New York, this is definitely an issue. You need to leave yourself a little bit of room for these treatments. I tell them to come prepared as if they're going on a long flight. Wear comfortable clothes, bring socks because they're going to take their shoes off. The gel could possibly be messy. You're going to bring your phone, your charger, an iPad, a book, headphones because, you know, the machine itself can be loud. Something to keep them comfortable and pass the time. Another hurdle to overcome with multiple treatments is boredom. The more comfortable they are, the more pleasant the experience will be, the less reluctant they will be to book additional treatments. Always have my patients eat before they come, not necessarily a big meal, but having a treatment on an empty stomach is never a good idea. Those are the patients who get lightheaded at the unhook. You're going to schedule the appointment, take a deposit, make sure those patients are given take-home guidelines. So pearls to take away from this. First and foremost, ask about what methods the patients have previously tried to address the concerns and the success that they've had. Chances are this isn't the first method they've tried. And if they worked, they wouldn't be here. So these patients are going to be skeptical. So let's talk about the white elephant in the room. Let's turn this negative into a positive by addressing it head on. How many hours have they been spending at the gym? How much have they spent on personal trainers? What diets have they tried? How much have they spent on juicing, on Jenny Craig and food that's, you know, tasteless and inedible? They've given up wine, cheese, gluten, dairy, everything across the board to address these concerns. Some of them are financial, you know, some of them are just, you know, things that they love that they've had to give up, and none of them are working. Well, address those head on and talk about how CoolSculpting is very different from all of those things. You don't need to change your diet or exercise when you're, you know, doing up to 5 treatments. Beyond 5 treatments, I tell people, you know, realistically, I'm reducing the amount of fat in your body significantly. You know, let's try to cut back on your caloric intake a little bit or bump up your activity a little bit to maintain those results. Typically, those are patients that are seeing me over an extended period of time. I've been known to, you know, have a patient show up for an appointment and gain 5 pounds and send them home and say, yeah, this is not a diet technique. This is not what this is about. Go home, get yourself back on track, then come back and see me. Use this as a tool to take your results to the next level. Don't use this as, you know, something to allow you to indulge and take out on Cheetos. You want to be a partner in their success. They're going to appreciate that from you. So very, very important part of this whole thing. Can't stress enough. Number one takeaway. you need to have a picture with one area treated and another area not treated. This establishes clear proof that the procedure works. You always have that true skeptic. And having that photograph just nips it in the bud right there. This is not diet and exercise. This is a result of this treatment, period. Move on to the next thing. Have before and after pictures of multiple patient types at the ready so that they can easily envision their results. You want the patient to identify with a patient who's similar to them who's received outstanding results. That's what's going to get them excited. Compare the price and longevity of results to other cosmetic procedures. This truly is the best value in the industry. I mentioned it before. Not such a big difference in price from Botox, but as far as longevity, CoolSculpting wins, across the board as far as I'm concerned. Certainly worth them giving it a try. And I'd have to say that that's one of, I'll skip to that in a minute, that's one of the things that I like to say. I like to recommend a core treatment plan that focuses on the area that bothers them the most. And I want to deliver like a complete home run. And then I want them to decide on their own, not me selling them. I want them to decide that they want to do further treatments. So as far as doing the patient assessment, I assess patients and sometimes mark them with both their clothing on and off, or undergarments on and off. The clothing we wear often pushes on tissue to create a bulge. So you really want to talk to them about what bothers them most. Is it the muffin top that spills over their jeans? Well, I want to see them in those jeans and the problem that it's creating. Because when they take those jeans off, it might not be quite so evident. I want to assess patients both sitting and standing. Patients standing up can actually look like they don't necessarily need a treatment. But when they sit down, it becomes very obvious that, where their problem area is. Even more so when they have clothing on and their upper abdomen is hanging over the waist of their pants. Oftentimes I find upper abdomen and flanks to give much more wow results than lower abdomen, because those are the areas that are going to make a difference in your patient's clothes. So talk to them a little bit. What are your priorities? Do you want to feel better naked, or do you want to feel better in your clothes? Address their personal concerns. If available, try to have that 360-degree set of pictures that were taken up on your computer screen so that you can review them with patients, so that you can really show the patient, help them to visualize exactly what it is you see. The patients see what's right in front of them, which is their abdomen. They don't see what's going on from behind. So when you're recommending a treatment that includes cycles in an area that they can't see, they need to look at those pictures for them to understand that you're making a recommendation that's in their benefit. Lastly, you really need to address the main factors contributing to a successful treatment. Every single patient asks me, but will this work for me? Because there have been so many technologies, procedures on the market that work for some people and not for others. And I explain to them that as long as I do my job successfully, that it will always work for them. What makes the difference in me doing my job successfully? Proper assessment. Is it skin laxity or fatty tissue that we're talking about here? getting the best tissue draw in the applicator. Like, it doesn't matter how much fatty tissue that's there. If I can't get it into the applicator, you're not going to get a result. Treating adjoining areas to achieve a natural contour. Absolutely. You can't expect a complete transformation with one cycle on someone who needs multiple cycles. If you want to get a good result, someone needs to tell you right from the start, this is what you need for you to be happy with your result. As long as you do all of those things and establish yourself as an expert in all of these things, your patient is going to get a satisfactory result 100% of the time. And I have to say, across the board, that has been my experience. So you really want to make that very clear to them. So strategies for booking a treatment. So I always discuss full treatment to transformation options when I'm dealing with the patient. I want to introduce that in that first consultation. I want to introduce that as, you know, a long-range plan. But then I will typically recommend a core treatment plan that addresses their biggest concern as a first step. And I specifically do this if there's a price issue. If, you know, someone really is very convinced, they've had a friend who's had CoolSculpting, they had phenomenal results, they're absolutely positive, they want to move forward with this, price isn't an issue, fine, if need be, I'll set up a 6-hour treatment, just bum, 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 knock it out. But the norm is more, you know, a 3 or 4 cycle, you know, treatment. Could be 4 purples, 1 large, 2 purples, and give them a wow result. And then let the outstanding outcomes of a successfully treated area sell the treatment of the other areas. They're not taking my word that this is wonderful. They're making a decision for themselves based on the results that you've provided them. You don't rather very confident in the successful outcome of their treatment and their outcome. So addressing common patient concerns. I'd say the #1 thing is that people walk in with the expectation that this is a less expensive alternative to liposuction. Well, you know, if you're treating, you know, that holy trinity, 1 max and 2 cool curves, this is a less expensive. But if you're doing a treatment to transformation, that's not always the case. So what you really need to talk about is the benefits that this has over liposuction. No surgery, no anesthesia, significant difference in downtime or no downtime, no side effects, no incision, no scars, no compression garments, long-term durable results. And I think this is key because there's no recovery time from this treatment. Even patients who are having a tough time from it, I push them. I tell them, get up, be active, go for a walk, go to the gym, push through. The more active you are, the more able you are to, you know, put it aside, put it to the back of your mind, and cope with it. And you're exhausted at the end of the day, and you're going to sleep that much better. Being active immediately post-treatment when they're really motivated that this is going to give them a solution is really going to give them an edge over liposuction when they're, you know, recovering and sore and achy and wearing compression garments for weeks. So as far as I'm concerned, clear advantage over liposuction. I have many patients who don't even tell their partners that they're having this treatment. Rarely do any of them tell their friends or their business associates. They love the fact that they just gradually look better and better and better and better. Then they avoid the, oh, he looks great, but, he's had help. So what? All of us could use a little help. But this can be their little secret and, the feather in their cap, something that makes them feel really proud. When price is a concern, and mostly the inability to treat all desired areas, you really need to connect the needs of the patient and match it with their desired outcome. Emphasize the financial savings from multiple treatments. While it's expensive, the more you do, the better your savings are. Consider locking in a base price for all future treatments. I absolutely do that with every patient. Once you go beyond 3 cycles, you get a discounted price from now until eternity. And depending on how many cycles you go beyond that, the discount gets greater. If time is a concern, especially with multiple treatments, remind your patient there's no pre-surgery requirements, anesthesia, pain meds, downtime compared with liposuction. Multiple systems could help cut the treatment time in half. Honestly, the way we get around that is I make myself available for late-night treatments for my patients. I'm in Manhattan. I'm in downtown Manhattan. All my patients are working. I'm not on the Upper East Side anymore. I often stay late evenings to treat my patients, and they are incredibly, incredibly grateful that I have to do that. Going back to price, there's just one other point that I'd like to touch on. This does not have to be a single session commitment like liposuction. We can target a specific area, give them improvement in that area, and then wait. And now it's in the patient's own hand. If you're recommending a multiple treatment course of action, then this patient likely needs, to lose some weight and to get into shape. So I say, you know what? Let's do one treatment. Let's have that motivate you. Use that as your incentive to take this to the next level. And when you stuck to a commitment where you've gone to the gym 3 to 4 times a week for the next, 6, 8 weeks, reward yourself by allowing yourself to treat another area. Then dangle another carrot. This is a way of motivating them for us to work as a team to help them achieve their goals. Patients love this, and it makes it more affordable for them. So the summary. So our goals here today were to convert more consultations into treatments by establishing, first and foremost, a dedicated CoolSculpting team leader, a strong partnership between the CTL and the patient care coordinator at your practice, to understand the respective roles between the CTL and the patient care coordinator, to process to engage and get the patient excited prior to consultation. So, so, so key. You want them walking in the door already, committed to signing on. Just all they want to do is find out, am I a candidate and how much is involved and can I afford it? You really want their mindset to be, this is something that I want to do before they even walk in the door. Half your job is done. The consultation will go so much more smoothly. You want to be well prepared and have a smooth consultation process flow. And last but not least, you really, really need to partner with your patient to help them realize their dream. This is going to be one of the #1 things that sets you apart from so many practices who just don't take the time to do that. Put yourself head and shoulders above everyone else and be the compassionate person that they want you to be. So I thank you very much for listening to me today. I welcome any questions